were starting to add a lot of veterans and old players to their NAPL roster. Like, they were becoming super stacked, and neither the LG at that time or the 45E could really beat them because they were at a whole different level of terms of leading, of not really leading. I was able to outlead them occasionally, because it was back and forth all the time. And of course, the melee being being despaired and different.
So they were basically going to divide and conquer you guys.
Divide and conquer, and the 85E and Raphael came to me at 2 a.m. and said, "Hey, since the 3 volts are starting to become super stacked, do you want to merge?" And I'm like, if I don't take this, then some of their members that I knew, some of their members would join the 3 volt. And so it was either
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
If we become stronger, or they become stronger. So I, of course, talked to Yoshi and Waste about it. Waste was against it, while Yoshi and I were for it, and so it's 2-1, and it was passed. And so they joined, and we were able to. It was probably one of the most successful merges I've ever done and ever seen, in the sense of that the regiment didn't fall apart after the NAPL season was over. We were still together because the communities of both the LG and the 45E were somewhat similar in the sense of
attitudes.
Banter. Yeah. And the only thing I did regret with that merge was not stamping down on the personal attacks that did happen from the 45E members. The reason at that time I didn't do that, of course, if anyone's listening, I will explain my side of the story, was that I was afraid that if I kicked out one of their guys, they would all leave. And we would overall become weaker, and thus making the 3 volt stronger. So I had to bite the bullet. I had to take the fall, basically, and I do feel awful about it. I did earlier in this podcast when I said I don't sacrifice my honor for winning matches. That was probably the only time I've ever done that, when I sacrificed my, of course, honor for just to win.
And you guys were able to pull off the victory, though.
We were able to pull it off 7-3. Could have been 8-2, but the last round, we were all so happy that we won. So.
And then they were able to pull off the last one, but
yeah.
So, what do you feel like was the biggest failure then for the LG? Maybe the fact that you weren't able to do it by yourself.
Throughout most of my time, I had to have someone doing all the administrative stuff. Wasted all of it. I'm so glad he did. I couldn't deal with all that. I couldn't ask people to do events. I couldn't manage the roster. I was not doing that. So I'm glad that Waste did it for me, and Yoshi did contribute. And then, of course, other NCOs later on started to contribute to the
Now, how'd you
effort.
and Waste grow together as you were leading the regiment?
It's like you usually will always have the most successful regiments will always have this duo combo where you would have the person that would lead the regiment in game, rally them boys, and really be the inspirational figure, while you will have the guy who does all the administrative stuff, does all of the getting people on and all that, and of course lead himself. Every single successful regiment will always have that duo combo. And, of course, Waste and I had one of the best ones, in my opinion. Yeah. Yoshi, and of course, I wouldn't leave out Yoshi, because he really did a lot more than most people think. He really did carry the regiment in sense of melee. And, he was a funny dude as well. Shout
Oh
out to
my
you.
gosh, complete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I also want to go on now is the melee that you've kind of developed in your style, kind of like the worship following cult you have behind you and that. Because from what I know, when you melee damn well. So I'd like you to talk about that. I guess if you could reveal your secret
My
sauce
inner
or like how you
secrets.
do
A
it.
magician
Yeah.
never reveals his secrets now. Yeah.
Are there any secrets to melee that you feel like other people haven't been able to tap
Buy a
into?
really good monitor.
Buy a good monitor. All right, check one. Everybody listening?
Yeah.
There you go.
But to be actually serious, you don't need a good monitor to be good at the game. It just really does help. But you just need, when you're group fighting, you have to practice. And at this point of the game, you really can't do that anymore. I was lucky to be able to get on group fighting at any point of the day back in 2014 to 2016, where I was able to get on, and then there'll always be people on, fucking around, messing around. Sorry, cursing.
Oh, that's fine. I'll just put explicit on the podcast now.
Oh, okay. But just really need the practice, and people who duel will never get to the same point as someone who always is on group fighting. Because when people duel, you get into this mindset that you have to face the person in front of you. In group fighting, that does not exist. You have to switch. You have to keep it going. It is a machine. You have to keep on switching between different people and killing them as fast as possible, being as efficient as possible, and working with your teammates as much as possible. And
how much do you feel like you stab in one round?
How much do I stab in a round?
Yeah, if you had to give me an estimate, like a lot.
70.
70 stabs in a round. Holy crap.
Not in 70 at max, but average around 30 to 40.
Wow, that's a lot.
Because of course I'm one of the more aggressive players. And so I'm always on the side that's pushing. So of course you have to be aggressive. You have to get those kills, because the side that's being pushed will not get the kills. Sometimes they will do, and I'm actually really impressed with the people that are able to hold a side that's being pushed and win it. I'm impressed when that happens. But when you're always on the aggressive side, you have to switch. You have to target switch. Group fighting, number one most important thing you must learn in group fighting is target switching. Don't target switch your shit.
How many kills do you get by target switching?
Too many. I would get alone target switching 30.
Holy crap.
And in group fight 30. In matches not as much. In line battles not as much, but you don't make it in melee as much.
So
of course during the LG I averaged around 50 kills a group fight, 40. And most of them were target switching.
Now, when you target switch, one thing that I noticed is you might pretend to switch and then you go back to the same person. Like, how do you do that?
Just you do a double fake. You basically you pretend you're going to go to the other guy, and then usually how the guy there's two guys, guy A and guy B.
All right.
So you're wanting to switch to guy A, and then guy B would, of course, naturally come to the instinct of, hey, his back is towards me, I may as well try to go for the stab. And then I would go back to guy B, and then guy B would either not block or he would block. But if he did block, I would go back to guy A, because the guy A would also be thinking what guy B would have done. And so, rinse and repeat, you're basically able to mind game most people.
Okay, so
doing a down stab.
One question I have. So when you do this, so when you go from like guy A to guy B, you can tell in that moment either to stab or to still hold your attack?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what makes you very effective. Because, when I do that, it might be your FPS too, that monitor allowing you to give you the extra time. Do you feel like you get more time to make decisions with a monitor?
It probably gives you maybe 4 0.4 of a second. 0.4
Like, what does it
seconds.
really improve upon having a better monitor? What do you know any of the specific things?
Smoothness. It's just smooth.
So, like, if you, yeah, all right. So, yeah, buy a good monitor. Target switch. Spamming? Do you spam a lot in Melee? All right. So, what happens when you switch to? So, my question would be: is if you do have this good monitor and you're switching targets, do you also spam a lot too in your Melee?
Yes, I do. I'm probably one of the more spamming people in the game where I throw constant attacks because I believe that if you keep on attacking, that person does not have breathing room to be able to, win the situation. Because if you keep on being aggressive, that person will have no breathing room to be able to counter it. It's like football. If you
Uh huh.
if you always have the defense on the field while the offense is on the field, that defense is just going to get worn out. And so it's the same. The same principle applies in group fighting when you're being on the aggressive side. When on the defensive side, of course you have to block more.
So when you're spamming, when is a good time to spam?
It's a good time when the enemy is blocking and also not blocking. So you have to really debate with yourself. Will this person throw his attack? Because you have a few milliseconds to react if he's going. Shut up, cat. You you have a few seconds to react. If he's going to throw an attack, and usually I'm able to get the block out. But most of the time, people just hold attacks just to pretend like they're gonna stab at you. So I've gotten to the point where I'm so confident in my blocking, I could just stab at you if you're holding an up attack, and it will instantly kill you most of the time if that person's not paying attention.
Uh huh.
And it's really, if you know how to kill people when doing that, you would utterly demolish a defense on a flank.
Now, do you foot lance a lot Melee?
I foot lance when it is needed,
So
but
when would it be
I
needed? What's an
do
example?
when there are multiple enemies in front of me, like if the sides are even or the enemy has more, I go in with the block. But if there are less enemies, hell yeah, I'm gonna go in with the stab because there are less of you. I'm gonna kill you. I have my teammates behind me. I'm going down, he's going up, and we're gonna kill you because you don't have any teammates to help you.
So
It's
in
just
Melee, what do you feel like is your signature? What would you say?
fainting.
Now, fainting, is that a different aspect? What about your fainting?
I've been told that my fainting is on a whole different level from what I've been told. I don't think I'm at a whole different level in terms of fainting because
Is that ping wise too? Because I know you play with
I
really
do
low
have
ping.
20 ping, but I've also done the same tactics with 40 ping and I was as successful.
Uh huh.
It does help. There's just these small things that do help, but they're not like game changing at all.
So is it like the fainting? What do you do to faint? If you don't mind me asking.
Of course, 101 to fainting, you of course have your attack out by holding left mouse button,
Uh huh.
then quickly releasing that and hitting your right mouse button, and then going back to your left mouse button, and continually doing that over and over again, you will get to the point where you are fainting like a madman. And from what I've been told, I faint so fast that people just can't react fast enough because they would when you hear the faint noise, people sometimes would give up their block and you would miss out. They will miss out on their block.
Uh huh.
I got Steam messaged.
No problem.
And they would give up their block and you would kill them instantly because they're not paying attention. They're not at that same skill level as I am because I'm fucking 6 years. No, I need to stop cursing. I've been playing this game for 6 years and I've gotten to the point where it's really easy to tell if you're gonna block or not. I can just tell by your movement. I can tell by how you're looking. how
Now,
you're
do you feint? Excuse me. Do you